section, I will be explaining about the series of steps to build any prototype from the very scratch. Prior to that, I just wanted to explain about something called as a product development lifecycle. Uh, in case you have attended any of the previous boot camps of ours, maybe the product management boot camp. So you must be aware about the same since I just wanted to explain everything from the basics. So I will be covering that as well. Most of you might have even uh, read about this and must be aware about this from something called as the agile methodology. So in this specific session, I just wanted to give a brief about what exactly how the product development lifecycle looks like and how AI has actually changed this to a great extent and how the role of product managers to a great extent has been evolving over a period of time. So basically a product manager, a business basically gets a lot of ideas relating to their products. It can be from the market, it can be from the data that we have got from the users itself, from the business and some of the stakeholders like the investor, the suppliers, and so on and so forth. Now, it is very difficult for a product manager to go through all the ideas and work on all the ideas. Now, what a product manager does, the product manager actually validates all the ideas that the product and validate and just we try to filter out the best ideas from the same. So for example, if we have 100 ideas, so a product manager actually research about these ideas, whether this idea is making sense to the business or not. If yes, then it goes to the next step, which is the prioritization. So a product manager job is initially is to validate these product ideas. And let's say we have a list of multiple ideas on which we wanted to work around for the next few months. So we actually prioritize these again ideas. So we will be prioritizing the different ideas that we have on certain parameters. If you wanted to understand how do we exactly prioritize the different features, the different ideas on different using different frameworks. So you can refer to our product management bootcamp series where we have explained in detail how do we exactly prioritize different product ideas. It is available on our YouTube channel if you wanted to learn more about how do we prioritize. So there are like RISE framework, there is Kano model, there is impact result, and there is weighted average. So there are multiple frameworks which can be used in order to prioritize the different ideas that a product manager has got. Now, once we have actually got all the necessary ideas and we have prioritized in this order that this should be developed first, followed by this, followed by this, followed by this. Now, then we create something called as a product roadmap. So a product roadmap is a very high level document which ensures that every stakeholder in this entire process is on the same page. And a product roadmap is basically a detailed document which contains the relevant information about the product development that we are going to do over a longer period of time. So let's say it can be over the next 8 months, 10 months, whatever we wanted to develop. So that comes under the product roadmap. Now, a product roadmap is a very detailed document. Now, let's say we have a multiple features, like we wanted to develop a dashboard. And then we have one more idea where we wanted to develop a CRM. Now, in this entire process, we have multiple features and the multiple tech architect that we wanted to build. Now, a product roadmap is not alone sufficient to help the development team to work with the entire a product site or whatever the ideas are. So we actually create a product log, a backlog where we have something called as a PRD document. So a PRD document is a very detailed document up in regards to a specific product where we try to explain to the development team what exactly needs to be developed over the next few days. So we actually give a very detailed document where we contains where exactly the button should be. If we click on this specific button, then what should happen? So we try to explain the entire user journey, the user flow in this PRD document. And even we also take care of the copywriting and other stuff in this PRD document. So the job of the developer is to just go through this PRD document. In case you have any further queries, he can coordinate with the product managers, and then it works on the product side. Then we have the sprint backlog. It's just an extension. So a sprint backlog is like again uh, something that we wanted to do in a short run, like short run over 2 to 3 days regularly. So it's like a sprint backlog. It's again a document which is being used in the product development process. And once the development team has made this a specific product, we test the product whether it has been developed as per the requirement or not. And then we actually coordinate with the sales and marketing team, launch the product, and then users have certain pain points again, and then we get ideas from their pain points, and the cycle continues. Now in this entire process, this has evolved over a period of time with AI. So with research and validating stuff, let's say we are working in a consumer tech, or maybe we have great ideas that we wanted to validate from our seniors, from our peers in order to get feedback. Now, earlier product manager ideas was very limited to PRD only, and ensuring that everything is been done as per the requirement and as per the planned stuff. But over a period of time with AI, this has evolved a lot. Now, the job of product manager is not just limited to writing a PRD document, but even in the research and validating aspect, they are product managers are very involved in something called as the building the MVPs. So over a period of time, this has evolved a lot. With this, even in the testing phase, we have AI. Even with this PRD, we have again AI in at place. Now in this entire process, I just want you to help you with the AI prototyping in this entire session. Like how do we write prompts? How do we build a prototype using no-code tools itself? Because again, a product management role is not very technical, to be honest, but a product manager job is very problem solving and problem oriented job where they should have the user empathy, the product sense, where they try to understand about the problems which the users are facing, or in case there is any gap, or and that can be filled by the product. So they are usually on the problem solving aspect, not on the development aspect. So over a period of time, this has evolved a lot. And in this session, I will give you a very practical example. Like in case you want to prototype anything and wanted to pitch the same in a hackathon, or maybe a case competition, or maybe if you're working at any company and you have certain ideas that needs to be presented in a form of prototype, so that they get a better understanding what exactly needs to be built. So I will help you throughout this process in this specific session itself. So without wasting any more time, we can just get started with the core concepts in regards to the development phase. Prior to this, in case any of you have any doubts in regards to whatever I have explained regarding this product development lifecycle, you can just interact in the chat box. I'll be happy to take up your doubts. A participation certificate wants, sir. Yeah, you will get the participation certificate. That's not a concern. Will the session recording be provided? We'll let you know. Do you have any doubts in regards to whatever we have discussed regarding this product development lifecycle? Which AI will be going to use now? We will be using AntiGravity, and we will be using Stitch for this entire process. Show me full image, sir, of the roadmap. Okay. So the pro it looks something similar to this. We'll share this as well so that you guys can enter go use this further. It's a whiteboard, not an image. So I'll provide this to you later on. Can we write PRD using AI? To a great extent, yes, we can. But again, there should be a sanity check from your end as well. Because initially, if we are just working with the MVP, so we can rely a lot on AI itself. But when we are working on the development aspect and for the core products and for the production ready application, we need to go through the PRD ourselves. To a great extent, we need to uh, give more and right context to AI so that they can write a PRD for us. Okay, I hope it is pretty much clear to you. Now, in the next few minutes, I'll try to explain you about the practicality. How do we exactly build a prototype from the very scratch using no-code tools only? So there are many tools like Lovable and Bolt and Base 44. But to a great extent, these are not they have many limitations with the tokens itself and in the integration itself. So they are not very uh, friendly for this integration aspect. So for that reason, we will be using a better tool, which is the anti-gravity by Google itself. And without wasting any more time, we can get started with the same. So, prior to that, I just wanted to explain one more technical term because I'm considering all the people who are joining the session for the first time. So, prior to that, I just wanted to explain very simple concept called as the MCP. So MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. So for what happens whenever we are using ChatGPT or let's say we are using any other tool and we wanted to connect these different tools. So we use API for that. Now the problem is that multiple tools like Slack, GitHub, Stripe, they have different API documentation. Similarly, these models have different documentation. If we wanted to connect other tools, then they have different documentation. So connecting them become a problematic. So we are using MCP server. So it's MCP is like a universal Type-C port which can be plugged and be used further. So it is like MCP is like it is like guy who knows every single language and can help us connect with anyone. So with MCP, we can connect our Supabase with anti-gravity. We can connect Firebase with anti-gravity. We can connect Stitch with anti-gravity. Now, I hope in case you are hearing all these tools for the very first time, don't be overwhelmed. I'll try to explain about all these in this session itself. Hmm. Okay, if you wanted to learn more about this in more detail, you can refer to one of our AI agent bootcamp where we have explained all this in very detail. So you can refer to that. Anyways, I'll just dive into the tech stack that we will be using. So we will be using anti-gravity for the same. It is available for free. You can download this. Why are we using anti-gravity? Because it has great um integration with MCP. So using MCP, we can, yes. So we are using MCP, we can connect many tools with anti-gravity, number one. Secondly, in Google anti-gravity itself, we get free Claude Sonnet 4.6 and Claude Opus 4.6 to a certain extent, which is not available with other tools. For that reason, we will be using anti-gravity. So the development process becomes very easy with anti-gravity. And with this MCP servers, we can connect many other tools. And thirdly, we have something called as a skills. So we can actually add skills over here and then use those skills in our automation itself so that it consumes less tokens and we can use the expertise of the skill that we have created. So it is like we can use the different skills in order to minimize the cost and increase the efficiency. And we can do the same prototyping at a better speed. So I hope you got what tech stack that we are trying to use. So when you open anti-gravity, it won't look like this. So for that reason, I will be starting a new window. And let me just close this. Okay. So this is how the screen would look like. So the very first step that you need to do is to open a folder where all of your files will be for this specific prototype or whatever projects that you're working on. So let's create a new folder, name it as um, anti-gravity from product. Hmm. Now we have, okay. Now we are in this specific folder now. Which is empty at this point of time. Now, the very first thing that we need to do is to add the skills. Now, how do we add skills? For that, we need to use something called as the, uh, I have already shared a skill, so we can actually create skills. So if you refer to the project guide, so I have shared a drive link. So if you copy this link and go over here, okay, so you're supposed to download this markdown file. And since I have already this file over here in my local device, so I will be just drag and drop the same. So if you're starting this from very scratch, you're supposed to use that skills.md wala file. So it is over here, skills anti-gravity. Hmm. Now just drag and drop. Now we have this skill over here. Now this specific skill is being made for the UI UX purpose because we wanted to create a UI first using Stitch, and then we will be using its skills in order to create the UI in such a way that we are not uh, 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 working on just the UI aspect, but we are also working on the UX expert aspect of the entire product, where we are taking the user experience into consideration as well. So this skill will be used in order to create the entire UI in such a way that the user journey is very, very smooth. So how we are going to do that? We need to go to something called as the uh, Stitch. So Stitch is a great platform which can be used. So, uh, okay, so Stitch by Google, it is currently in beta, but trust me, it is one of the best tool that I have explored so far for uh, this UI and UX development with AI itself. So you're supposed to just give a prompt and then it performs the rest of the task in order to create this entire UI. So I can show you some of the UIs that I have made previously. So prior to this, I was just experimenting it with the same. And this UI is made with AI, number one. Secondly, it can be exported to it can be exported to Figma, and you can even edit that with prompts itself. So this entire UI that you can see is made with AI itself. So currently it is still in beta, but over a period of time it will uh, improve eventually, and I feel that it is going to be really great in near future. So what are we? So in order to connect this, so this is the very first screen that you will be seeing once you log into the stitch.withgoogle.com. So you need to go to your profile, go to Stitch setting, and here you will find something called as an API key. So if we want to connect two different tools, so we use API keys for the same. So you are supposed to create API key, name it something, and then you will get an API key. I already have my API key over here, so I will just copy the same. Because again, do not share your API keys with anyone because uh, they can abuse your account later on. So try to uh, keep your all of your API keys up to yourself and do not share it with anyone. So we have this API key over here. Now go to anti-gravity, and over here you can see this three dots, which is the additional options. Go to MCP servers and search for Stitch. Okay. Now I have already installed that. You're supposed to install it over here and then go to configuration, paste your API key. Or anyways, I have already done that. So it is there in my MCP. If I go to manage MCP, so I have my Supabase, I have my Stitch integration over here. The moment you hit on save, this will be enabled and will be connected to your Stitch will be connected to anti-gravity. Okay. Now, once we have the Stitch integration over here, now the next step is that whatever you wanted to prototype, for example, so in our example, we wanted to prototype an alternative to Mailchimp, where we can create our email campaigns. So I will just copy this entire prompt, which is over here in the documentation itself, and paste it over here. You can use better prompts. I haven't put much effort in order to uh, get create this entire prompt. But you can, in case you have more and more time, you can add way better prompts. So in this entire process, I'm using Gemini 3 for the purpose of in creating this entire walkthrough and the tasks. So what anti-gravity does, once we give it the prompt that it is something that we wanted to build, this is the tech stack that we are going to use. And we are using SMTP only. And okay, once you give this entire prompt to this anti-gravity, so here we have two modes, planning and fast. So we need to be in planning mode, right? And for the planning purpose, we will be using Gemini only. And for the development purpose, we will be using Claude Sonnet, because Claude Sonnet is current Claude Opus and Claude Sonnet. They are like the best tool available in the market at this point of time for development purpose. So we will be giving a prompt to anti-gravity. Now it will take some time and then it will come up with something called as an implementation plan. So that implementation plan will be very, very detailed, where it will explain uh, what are the steps that are involved, what are the different tasks that he will be doing. And he will also ask for the permissions and approval from our end. So we can give all that relevant information to this anti-gravity and he will work accordingly later on. Claude Sonnet has given a low. Actually, this so far when I have used, actually with anti-gravity, it is enough to actually complete a prototyping project. Yeah, that's correct that over a period of time, the limitations are there. But with anti-gravity, I have like used multiple accounts in order to get the same thing done. Your RAM is getting cooked. Yes, it is. Can we create skills empty same as readme? Yes, yes, exactly. We can actually create skills.empty same as readme. Yes, we can create skills as well. So skills.empty, whatever that we are creating in anti-gravity, these are shareable. We can share it with anyone and other can replicate the same. However, with Claude code, that becomes a bit difficult. However, with anti-gravity, it's very, very easy. Send your, actually I've shared this doc in the group itself. You can refer to that. How do we develop our detailed PRD from Strange. We'll share that once again. Can you please? Yeah, sure. So you're supposed to go to Stitch, and this is how the screen would look like. You need to click on your profile, click on Stitch setting, and over here you will find create a key. Once you hit on create key, you will get an API key. Then go to anti-gravity itself and click on this MCP servers. Search for Stitch. Then you're supposed to install this plugin, this MCP, and then hit on configure, add your API key, and your Stitch will be connected to anti-gravity. Now what it has done, it has given us a implementation plan, and now it wants us to review this. And then all the tasks are being listed over here. Initiate this, create these tables, then front end. Now I just wanted to show you the power of Stitch and to what extent uh, this Stitch can be used along with the skill MD that we have created. So we'll just ask, uh, hey, can you create the the front end? It's a web app. So create the project accord. Okay, so whenever you're using this Stitch integration, make sure you mention what kind of product that you're building, because over here, if you see in Stitch itself, okay, so you can see that we can either create a mobile app or a web design. So sometimes it creates a mobile app by default, so you need to instruct prior. So it is something that I have a problem that I faced previously. So I just wanted to give a brief prior to that. Now it will connect to my Stitch, and now it has started creating these screens. Okay, so we have this over here. Now it is creating screens for us. So it does like the screen number one, then we will have more and more screen. And all this will be created by AI itself. And with MCP, we are able to connect our Stitch with anti-gravity, Supabase with anti-gravity, and many, many other tools. Now, these tools can communicate with each other and do most of our tasks themselves. So that's like the power of MCP at this point of time. It will ask for some of the permissions in between that you're supposed to give. So as you can see that the prompt, all the prompts which has been written, all this has been in the JSON format. So the AI even understands better what exactly needs to be done in case we are trying to interact with them with this entire tool. Now, what happens every single time when we are interacting? So this entire text is there. So AI don't understand properly what exactly needs to be done. But with JSON prompts, they give better results. So we're just waiting for other screens as well, which will be created by this tool. Any of you have any doubts? in regards to how are we actually creating this entire prototype. So there are like two to three things that I again wanted to give you brief. So there can be scenarios where you don't need to develop all the functionalities, but there can this can be there in case of some of the consumer tech products. But an HTML code would be sufficient as well in most of the use cases, where you will be able to give a better feel what exactly you wanted to develop over a period of time, and share the same with the share the same with the development team or the relevant stakeholders, so that they get a better understanding what exactly you were pitching. So that can be done as well. However, in case there are certain products which you wanted to pilot with an MVP, so in that use cases, anti-gravity with all this functionality can be used. However, if you wanted to just pitch and just explain your ideas, then an HTML this HTML will be better only. That can be generated with anti-gravity. How did you change to full screen? Anti-gravity. I didn't change to full screen over here. I just ask anti-gravity only that it is a web app, so create this entire UI accordingly. Let's just refresh. Hmm. So it eventually creates an entire front end for us. So I can show you some of the front end that I have built with this tool only. So it was this one. So it was a mobile UI which was made by this tool only. And the front end, as you can see, is very minimalist, and the user journey sounds very nice to me. Every single icon which was there was actually very great, which was made by this uh, integration only. However, this will take some time to create the other screens. So in case we want, now what we can do with this MCP, we can firstly create and then we can even access. And in case we want to make any changes, we can even make any sort of changes over here as well. So all that can be done with Stitch. Now with anti-gravity and Stitch, we can connect all these tools, and then taking all that front end into consideration, the anti-gravity will create the backend as well. Okay, so we have the campaign analytics page as well. Taking screens. Mm, And one more thing that you can do with this is you can actually copy all this to Figma, and you can even transform this into a prototype video where using this tool only. And you can even use AI Studio to convert this into uh, a, very basic level prototype. So that can be used when you don't have any functionality involved. But in case you wanted to include some of the functionalities, then in that specific use case, it is better to use this anti-gravity only. It's this actually used. Now we got all these screens created. Now the next step is that we can review it in case we wanted to make any changes. So we can redesign it or make it more aesthetic, or in case we wanted to make any changes, we can do that over here. Or maybe with anti-gravity itself. Now, since we are done with this entire process, the next step is we will just ask this anti-gravity only to initiate the project. So the implementation, in case you want to make any changes with the implementation plan, you can. However, just for the session, we won't be making any sort of changes. Plan sounds cool. We can go ahead with the development process. Now the one more problem that is there in this entire process is the security concern. So you can use this only for the prototyping purpose, just to explain to a great extent. But there are many problems with the security, as sometimes usually what happens, most of the API keys are exposed in these tools. So considering the security aspect, it becomes a problem. So you can use that for prototyping, but you should take the security into consideration. So do this only if you understand the code later on. Now it is creating the relevant files which needs to be there. Hmm. Before you share your projects with anyone, closely test all of your uh, files and make sure your API keys are not publicly exposed. Else, that's concerning. Yeah. Secondly, what this tool is doing, it is actually connecting to my Supabase as well. So Supabase, I'm using Supabase for the backend and the database management. So this is Supabase I'm using. So you can just create an account on Supabase. And in order to connect the Supabase MCP to anti-gravity, you're supposed to just, this is the first screen that you see once you create a project. And once you create the project, go to account preferences. Over here, go to access tokens. And then you are supposed to generate a token. Since again, it is considering the security reasons, I am not revealing these API, these tokens. So you're supposed to just copy that token and again go to this MCP server, search for Supabase, and over here you can just click on configuration, add the access token over here, and then your Supabase will be connected to your anti-gravity. So let me show my the Supabase as well. So as you can see that this is completely blank since I've created a new freshly account. And two tables are created by anti-gravity only at this point of time. And it is creating more and more relevant tables, which is relevant in our case. So it has actually first of all created all the screens using its MCP. Now it is accessing all those screens, and then it is creating a front end for us. So this is how we were able to connect our stitch with our anti-gravity and anti-gravity with our Supabase. So using MCPs, all that was possible. And let's just see the tables which are created. So we have the ID, we have the subject, we have the body, sent count, status, and what time it was sent. In case you want some more detail, you can add more and more DB, more columns to the screen. Yes, it creates the backend and database for our application, whatever we are building. So in case we are logged into the platform, so that will be recorded. However, we have not included that. We can even use Firebase for the Google authentication. However, I have not included that considering the time constraint. So whatever things that we are going to do, so that can be done with this only. So with anti-gravity only, we can find alternative to many or tools. So although that cannot be scaled to more and more users in the short run, however, we can create MVPs for such tools, and then we can use that accordingly. Like if you are using Calendly, you can easily wipe code Calendly for your own with your own Google integration, Google Calendar integration. So multiple MVPs can be built with anti-gravity itself. If I give you more example how I have been using anti-gravity and Anaton. So I have been using this in order to create a lot of tools which are very expensive for our startup. So I have been using the anti-gravity to create MVPs, and then I have deployed that in the businesses so that we can save a lot of time and as well as money with these different MVPs, which is anti-gravity and NNN. NNN is a different tool. So NNN is used for this AI agents development, and all that was covered in one of our boot camps. So it was recently concluded. Any doubts to whatsoever we have been doing so far? Anyone? Additionally, one more thing with the great thing with anti-gravity is that it has the agent mode where an extension called as the anti-gravity AI browser extension. I'm pronouncing it correct. Uh, Anti-gravity browser control. So it actually opens all the development which has been made by anti-gravity and it tests whether it has been developed or not in case there is any problem. So it actually reviews and fix that. So this is the again best thing about anti-gravity. Okay. Okay, at this point of time, I guess I forgot to change the model. In anti-gravity, it should be okay, it is Gemini only, but in case you're in the development phase, try to switch it to Claude. It's Claude Sonnet or Claude Opus 4.6. They are way better. I just forgot to do that. Anyways, we will be using Gemini only now at this point of time. It usually takes some time, some literally. Can you please summarize everything once? Okay, so initially I explained something called as the product development life cycle. So where I try to explain how the product management, how the product development process looks like, what are the series of steps, how a product manager usually works, or a product owner. And in this entire case, this is the traditional thing which was there. However, with AI, many steps has been evolved over a period of time with artificial intelligence. So I'm trying to explain something called as the how do we create prototypes so that we can validate those ideas in a very practical manner. So these are some of the use cases where we are into consumer tech and we have just have a thesis and wanted to explain to what extent this can be done. So building MVPs is something which product managers are doing at this point of time with AI because with vibe coding tools with anti-gravity cloud code it has evolved a lot. Then we created something called as a okay. Then we created a front use Stitch MCP. I also explained about the MCP service, what MCP is. In case you wanted to learn about this more in detail, you can refer to some of our other videos where I have explained all this in detail along with our project uh, in it and AI agent series. So we are using MCP in order to help different tools communicate and coordinate with each other. Then we were using Stitch MCP servers in order to create this entire UI. This entire UI is made with AI. And the best thing about Stitch is that it can be exported to Figma. We can, uh, in Figma, later on, we can even change the copywriting and other relevant thing. And we can even redesign using this on the left-hand side. And with MCP servers, we were using something called as a skill. So this skill has been shared skills.md. So this markdown file, as you can see, was made in order to okay, so this markdown file was used in order to use its capabilities to create a good UI. And then we have been using this in order to, it is asking for my API keys at this point of time. However, uh, uh, I will ignore this at this point of time because again, actually, this project I have previously used this. Let me see if it is working or not. So it is hosted locally on my PC. So let's see to what extent it is working because as far as I remember, a similar project was hosted on 3000 port. So it should not, okay, okay, it is working at this point of time. Okay, so we have the Excel feature where we can add the contacts. We have the template one. Let's see if we can use this. Can we create a new template? So we have the analytical board. Okay, it's my local device is a bit cooked at this point of time. We don't have any campaign as such. Okay, so I'll do, I'll try to test it out and will search in case anything, in case there is any discrepancy in the development process which has been made with AI, as I can see that this one is not working at this point of time. So I'll report the same to anti-gravity, like, hey, anti-gravity, it isn't working, and so on and so forth. And recent is something that I won't be using for this project right now. Sir, from where to connect Supabase? In order to connect Supabase, you should firstly create an account on Supabase. Once you have created the account on Supabase, you were supposed to create a project. So once you log in and create a project, this is how the screen would look like. On the right hand side, you are supposed to click on the account preferences. Over here, hit on access token, and here you will get an access. You are supposed to click on generate new token, and you will get a token. Just copy that token and move on to anti-gravity. Go to MCP, search for Supabase, and over here you can just click on configure and add the access token. So this is how we can connect all these MCPs. Okay. Now the next step is like we try to test all the development which is done by anti-gravity. And in case there's any discrepancy and problems with the development process, I'll try to. So there are many things that should be there. So the number one is that uh, there should be a template Excel file that can be accessed by any user so that it can add the relevant details, number one. Then uh, in the templates section, okay, there is one more thing which is not there, which is the contact. So I'm unable to see any contacts as such. Or let's try. Okay, so I'll be able to see the contacts once I upload this. So prior to that, I will ask this anti-gravity only. Hey, can you add a sample Excel sheet that can be used to add contacts? I don't want to integrate recent and Gemini right now. What is SaaS? SaaS stands for Software as a Service. So SaaS they usually have a monthly plan to use that. So like Emergent is a SaaS, then Lovable is a SaaS, then multiple tools which ask for these subscription to you access that. So all these are software as a service. Can we integrate Replit with anti-gravity? I don't think so. We can do that. Uh, how is a product different from SaaS? Uh, a a SaaS is a type of product. I don't think there is like a difference. A product can be uh, a product can be in a physical form like a goods, or it can be a SaaS only. But SaaS is primarily where we are actually we have a software as a service. It's like a product is can be a good as well, whereas SaaS is going to be a service only. It's like the core differences. How we create the final product, like fast summary. Yeah, sure, we'll do that. Let's open this. Now, as we can see that we got the preview of all the contacts, which is here. And then we can even use this. Templates are not working at all. I will ask this only to make this work. Working on new templates. While creating this in the UI itself, we actually ignored this some of the functionalities which should be there in the UI itself. So for that reasons, uh, we forgot to add some of the things which will be added soon. People in Supabase and writing logic. Templates are empty right now. New templates will be added soon. And in the contacts, we have the relevant contacts over here. So over here, as we can see that uh, our Supabase is now connected with our front end. So our front end is actually connected with our back end. And we were able to even do that with our we created the UI with Stitch, and then we tried to connect our Stitch with anti-gravity, and then we were able to create the same UI into a front end using anti-gravity. And once everything was done with anti-gravity, we had this local host 3000. So it is currently hosted locally on our PC. Okay, let me see if templates are working. If there are no templates as such. We can write the template name as test, description as test, hello, save template. This column should ideally come over here. zero times used. Let's check once again. Okay. So what we were able to do with this entire prototyping, we were able to create a front end using anti-gravity itself. We were able to connect our Supabase for the database management in the backend. And we were also able to connect our and this stitch with our anti-gravity to create the UI. So by connecting all these tools, we were able to create a prototype with which we were able to add contacts. We were able to add the relevant templates, and also have a analytical campaign dashboard. So as we will be creating more and more campaigns, we will be able to get all that over in the analytics and the template sections. Now, in this entire process, I don't have this. Um, there is a platform called which is mentioned, which has been used for the email itself. So what I have been doing, I have been using N8 instead for some of the functionality because of the SMTP itself. So I would have communicated that webhook trigger in order to perform the task with by sending the relevant information. However, in our case, since I'm sure that considering the cohort, I was not sure how many of you are know or how many of you know how to build AI agents and automations. So I kept it very very simple to with as limited to anti-gravity and Supabase only. So with I'll just try to sum it up how exactly we can create prototypes that can be shared with the different folks. So the very first step is we need to talk to one of our chat GPT or some other tool where we will be explaining all of our ideas that this is something that I wanted to develop, number one. So after that, this AI will give you a certain prompt. And once with the right context, since you have the best prompt, we will go to anti-gravity, and over here we will explain the our entire idea. This is something that we wanted to develop. Now, once we are done with that, we will get a walkthrough, we'll get an implementation plan along with the task which needs to be done. Now, in this entire process, there is like we will be using Gemini 3.1 in order to do that first step. And once we are done with that, the next step is to go to Stitch only and verify whether the UI has been created as per our need as or not. In case it is yes, then we will move ahead. In case it is not, then we will try to make the necessary changes which needs to be there. And once we are done with this entire step, we will ask anti-gravity to access this project only and create a front end using uh, anti-gravity only. Now it will create a front end for us, and all this file is there on our local device only. So just let me show you. So this is this entire files which has been created by anti-gravity only. And then it will give us, in some of the cases, you will be supposed to add the relevant API keys manually. So do that. And once you are done with that, we will get something called as a local host with a certain port. Once you get this entire local host along with the port, you can test this out. And in case you find any discrepancies or anything which is not working at all, you can just report the same to anti-gravity like, hey, this isn't working. And then it usually fixes. And in case there is some problems, then try to reiterate and coordinate, try to just talk with the anti-gravity itself. And it will eventually solve the entire query. Now, with this anti-gravity and this integration of Stitch and Supabase, we were able to create this entire prototype which is uh, functional to a great extent, where we were able to export the contacts. So we have the name, we have the email address, then we have the template. So we created one template, which is there which is there in the front end as well. So this is the one which we created right now, and the same was triggered and updated in our data set. Then we also have the campaign. So we have not created any campaign as such, but if we create any campaign, so that will be updated over here as well. So that's about how we exactly create a prototype that can be shared with some other folks who can take that into consideration and work accordingly later on. And you can use it for your specific use case where you have certain problems that you wanted to solve. There are many SaaS products available, but you want an alternative to it because SaaS, they usually have a subscription model, and you can just vibe code all this stuff for your specific use cases and then work accordingly. So that can be done while working with tools like AntiGravity. And in this entire process, we used Supabase MCP in order to create the backend and the database. We used Stitch Carve MCP for the UI purpose. We can even use Firebase MCP in order to add Google sign in with Google while using its zero authentication. However, we have not done that due to time constraint. So this is how we were able to create a prototype that uh, where we have a backend, we have a database management, and all that was done just with no code tools. So that's it for this specific session. In case any of you have any doubts, you can just ask in the meet. I'll be happy to take up your doubts. Participate, मिल जाएगा यार, participation certificate. How can a PRD regard? There is no any specific tools as such. You just use you can just use Gemini only. How job market, product development, developer roles, and opportunity job to get. समझा नहीं भाई. I mean, how to get into product development? The development is different. Product management is different. In product management, we are concerned with what to develop, what problems we are solving. So we take all that into consideration with product management. So for this entire project, product management aspect, you should have a tear down projects in your CV if you wanted to get into it. You should have some of the keepstone projects. You should learn about AI agents. You should learn about prototyping. You should have the first principle thinking. You should have a problem solving approach. Then you should understand about the prioritization framework, product roadmap, PRD, then product backlog, product sense. You should have all this in order to get into product management. To a great extent, it is a highly collaborative role. So you will be working with the business development team. You will be working with the development team. You will be working with the customer. You will be customer support team. You will be talking to the users, understanding how do they go about the product, what are the pain points they had. So you should have the the empathy is something that you should have while working with or working as a product management manager, because it is something which is extremely important while you are on a product side. Actually, the job market is very brutal at this point of time. But yeah, in case you have the skills, you will. be able to thrive. Okay, so that's it for this specific session. In case any of you have any further doubts, you can stay in the meet. Else, you all are free to leave. Thank you.